I have you up? Hold on.
Just smile pretty before you start talking so we can edit it properly.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Welcome to the VIP. We are going to have some Q&A with Mike, and we just finished the best session I have been on in a long time with the AI, with him dumbing it down to my level. So thank you, Mike. And yes, Yvonne, if you have a question, go ahead.
I do have a question for Mike. Um, when you were talking about We Are the Messenger, I just want to
Mhm.
say I really like that because that explained a lot for me. But also when you were talking about trust building, and I wrote in my notes like, how deep do you need to go for people to get that trust? Because I think a lot of us are afraid to be vulnerable, and I think people connect with the imperfect us and the vulnerable us. So do you find in your experience that to build that trust, you actually have to be a hot mess, or you can be a hot mess and it's more relatable and builds trust faster? Or does that make it more seem like you don't know what you're doing and it doesn't build trust?
When I think about trust building or when I think about like sharing, intricate parts of my journey or, things that are, crazy, whatever happened, during the thing, I always ask myself first is what I'm sharing, does it actually have any, just sharing that I went through something terrible or that I was going through something terrible, if it doesn't directly relate to them figuring something out or understanding something that's important about what we're talking about, it's like not necessary. Because one thing people can do is, it's almost like they'll share a part of their story thinking that they're going to be building a connection with somebody, when in reality you could be alienating yourself from a lot of people that would follow you, because you're talking about something that is irrelevant in reference to whatever it is that you're talking about. So if I share something crazy about my journey, it might only be related to them understanding that about their own journey. So I don't think that there's necessarily like a share this or share that, but it's also, I think, more important to ask yourself, like, by me sharing this, does it help them do better at what we're doing here? Does it help them, ultimately make a decision? And because I've seen people go off about their stories and stuff like that, and because they're told, like you just said, vulnerability and connection and things like that. But I've seen people share things about their story and they get done, and I'm like, we didn't need to know any of that. Like, that's, I know it's important to you, and I know that that was maybe a detrimental thing to you, or it was something crazy to you, but it doesn't help me make a decision to do this or to do better at this, or something like that. Because I mean, I have, you know, like everybody, we all have dark moments and dark stories and things where we were really tested and or being tested, and um it just has to make sense for what you're doing, right? Now, if you're a motivational speaker trying to help people do something, that's one thing. But if you're trying to talk about, I don't know, helping somebody make money online, and you're talking about, something crazy that is just essentially us hearing about you going through something crazy, and it doesn't ultimately say, oh, wow, yeah, no, I could really use what you said there to do something. It just kind of, it almost works against you in a way. So that's a tough little, it's like, well, how do you gauge that? Like, how do you decide what that should be? Um, and I would just ask yourself, before you say something or whatever, if you're going to use it in a piece of content, ask yourself, like, by me sharing this, what what is the core takeaway? What's the value in me actually sharing this? Or is there another way that I can, get that point across? Or or something like that, right? I mean, that's a it it's a tough one.
Actually, your
I
answer made sense to me because my focus is actually not on creating a digital product as far as content. Mine is empowering women to transform their lives after trauma and abuse. So I think you actually really answered my question because I know to be very careful what I post, say, on TikTok, but the details are in my community itself. So I can be much more about that stuff in my community, but be much more selective on what I post and just say, have you ever felt this? But I don't have to
yes,
give the story because they will know their own story right there. So that was actually really
yes,
helpful because it is a
good.
fine line. Okay, so that's what I would do
Yeah,
for that.
once you got them in your community and maybe you're on like a more private call or something and you see somebody directly dealing with something that you sharing that moment in your life where it was whatever, if you see that helping them feel like, oh, me too, and they got through it or whatever, then that's different. But I think going into those realms just in content, I think that you, like you said, you have to be very selective there.
Okay, that's really helpful. The light bulbs went on. And you were
Good.
saying how just use Chat GPT because I know all online you see a lot, oh, there's like thousands of AI programs now. And I love how you really dumb this all down for some of us. And probably it's perfect for this community that Kimberly's doing for this workshop. So I just wanted to know, do we just ignore all the other AI for now, or as we need to say to change languages, then learn that one, kind of just keep paid Chat GPT until
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like Chat GPT, in my opinion, still beats all of them. Google AI Studio might have a little bit on the image creation side of things, but other than that, like I don't use any other AI tool than Chat GPT. Like I've messed with all of them, but they all do the same thing ultimately. Like they're all literally doing the same thing. It's just some of them have a little bit different training. Like I mean, I've messed with Grok and Claude and Google. Like I've been through them all very deep, but they're all the same. To me, they're all the same. And on average, I get a better response from Chat GPT, and I like the way it really holds memory better. And it also, to me, I feel like has the most training of all of them because it really was the forefront of AI. And I think the rest of them are kind of building from that or with that. Now, is that to say that down the road something won't beat it? No, I don't know. But all I know is, for what we need to do, I mean, I built online business without any of that stuff. So having any of them is unreal. It's crazy. But I really like the way Chat GPT tends to act overall. Now, in saying this, it just brought up something back to your point of like vulnerability and how much should I share in my story. Why not have that? Why not share your story in a way with ChatGPT and ask it, what point does this make? Or how much
oh,
how much validity would this have in doing X? Or if I'm trying to help somebody understand X by you hearing my story and me sharing that with you or this particular part of the story, where could this be used in content? Or how could the story maybe be adjusted where it's you know only sharing what's needed to be shared in that, so you could go like extremely hardcore raw with whatever it is that you want to share and then ask it, how could this be reframed, or where would this be most usable, or could this be trimmed down, etc.
okay, that's perfect. Perfect, perfect. Thank you. I'll let Kimberly
Mm.
ask her questions now.
Thank you. No, I won't keep you much longer. I have one question on the prompts. How, if you were just starting out, I use chat every day, but if you were just starting out as a beginner and you really didn't know a whole lot, how would you learn better prompts? Because I use it, but I need to learn better prompts to get better answers.
Hmm. No, this is actually like a really, really good question. And it's like one of my favorite things to teach people about AI in the beginning for sure. But if you if you knew a wizard that knew more than any of us know combined, instead of trying to think up like what a good prompt would be, you would just ask it what to ask it.
Okay. Yeah.
So in all of them, like I use this with any of them that if I'm messing with any of them, I'll ask it like let's say I want it to create a picture of a woman sitting at a laptop with um you know her lights on and she's giving a presentation. Instead of me trying to figure out how to prompt that to get that, I would tell it what I want as the end result, which is what I said. I want a lady sitting at her laptop with the lights on doing a presentation. I would say, what should I ask you so that you create a prompt that will I can put into either you or Google AI or whatever that will make that picture happen. What should I ask you? What should I prompt you with if I want this as my outcome? So what you need to know is you just need to know what you want, and then you ask it what to ask it to get what you want.
Okay.
And it will come
Perfect.
up with a prompt that will always beat whatever you come up with.
Okay.
And then what you can do is this is one other good thing to understand about, prompting and stuff like that. It'll give you back like if we for instance, if we went into ChatGPT right now and I was like, "Hey, um, create an image prompt that will give me a lady sitting on her laptop with her lights on, getting ready to do a presentation, and I want it to be ultra realistic. What would that prompt look like if I wanted to create that with Google AI Studio, let's say? It's going to give me back a remarkable prompt. Like it'll give me back something so good. You'll read it and you'll be like, oh my God, that's way better of a prompt than what I would ever came up with. And
Right.
that's where the danger happens, where you go, oh, well, that is good enough. So
Mhm.
it gives you back something amazing, and you go, could you make that better? Like, what are you missing in this prompt that would make it 100 times better? What are you missing in this prompt that maybe, if other AIs were looking at it, you would need to fix it. Like don't just don't just think that because it gave you back something incredible and it's outside of what you would have ever come up with or thought about, don't think that it can't improve that.
Right.
So, because you're only giving it one cycle of like smartness, it's like imagine I had like 50 scientists that are like they're ocean scientists, and I brought all these ocean scientists together. There's 50 of the best in the world, and I had all of them like create something, right? That's only round one. It would be like now take that and say, all right, guys, here's what you came up with. What would you do to make that even better? Forget about AI. Just I'm talking about humans. If all three of us came up with a picture of a tree and we had the picture of a tree, what what would happen if somebody asked, "Well, how would you make that picture better?" And we would all three go together and be like, "Well, we could have done a little better on the leaves. We could have made the ground look a little more, real or something." So, whenever you want something, don't just take the first thing back and be like, "Oh, okay," because it'll create something,
Mhm.
pretty good. But if you want to make something better, or you want to get to the nth degree with it, or you want to make something that's like radically different, than what they're gonna, because anybody can round one something. It's the person that asks. I'll never forget what Einstein says. Where I come up with this, it's like Einstein goes, "It wasn't that I was smarter than everybody else. I just stuck with the question longer than everybody else. I just kept going on the same thing. I didn't just take the first answer. I kept going on like, how can we improve this? Yeah, we've got the answer, but what if it was 10 times better?" And so that's what you always think about with this AI, because I mean, I'll use it too. And like, if I'm in a hurry, then I go, right? Like, it's like, well, good enough is better than nothing, or at it. But, but if I'm trying to like make something, I'm like, all right, make that better. And then it'll make it. I'll be like, could you make it better? So and one I remember they did I think it was Joe Rogan did this. He goes, make a picture of a happy rabbit, and so it made this happy rabbit, and they go make it happier, and they kept saying make it happier, and then by the end of it, they asked it like 50 times. It's like I don't know if I can make it any happier. It's like yeah, you can make it even happier. By the end, the rabbit was like floating like this, like meditating with like shit coming out of its head. It was crazy, right? So it just that's the lesson is just keep going deep on it because
Okay.
you'll get something remarkable and it'll work against its own like genius. It's good.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for doing the Q&A, and we have learned a lot. I know I took notes, and I can't wait to go through the slide deck. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I got you the slides and everything so you can do what you want there.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.